Hello and welcome to this episode of the Respectfully podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Pope, for this hairdressing conversation. My guest today is salon owner and educator Debbie G. She worked for 20 years at Vidal Sassoon London Schools as a creative director and has now passed 12 years running the Billy Curry salon in central London. But this only tells the bare bones. I've got Debbie here today to talk about her career and her vision for hairdressing. Welcome, Debbie.
Great to be here, thank you.
Nice to see you. So you've not travelled far to this studio in central London because you live and have the salon nearby?
Yeah, the salon is in Marylebone, so really near, and we live in Camden, so just the other side of Regent's Park. So it's been easy morning, thank you.
Good, nice to see you. And that leads me straight to the first question. So the we is you and Billy Curry.
That's correct.
And you are actually a partnership in life and work?
We are indeed. We've been together, I don't know how long, over 30 years. We've got a 30-year-old son, so a long time.
Is he in hairdressing?
So Billy is in hairdressing. So we met at Vidal Sassoons, which is, we both trained there. Yeah. And we met in Leeds in the north of England and were friends and then had, a relationship and eventually got married and had 2 children.
Brilliant.
And then we've now got the salon together.
So are you from the north? Are you Yorkshire?
No, I'm not from Yorkshire. Billy's from Scotland and I am from the Midlands, from a place called Northampton, which is known for shoes, famously.
Yes.
Church's shoes.
And also they make the boots for kinky boots.
That's correct, yeah.
I remember seeing a documentary about that, claim to fame. So you've been in London a long time.
Yeah, I can't remember how long I've been here now. A long time. So I trained in a place called North Hensman's, which was in Northampton, and they were ex-Sassoons. Yeah. One of them was Sassoons trained, and John and Julie Hensman was from Jingles, which you might remember that. The audience won't, but they were much looser than Sassoons, much more sort of freehand, razor cutting. Yeah. So it was a really great partnership. They sent me on a course to Sassoons where I went. I was 20-something, and I came back and said, I want to be creative director of Vidal Sassoon's London Schools. That didn't happen straight away. I then went to Leeds. It was easier, more affordable, retrained there, and then the rest is history.
So you manifested it and it came true.
Absolutely.
Wow. So I introduced you as a educator, salon owner, and then we referenced the creative director title. How do you feel about that description of your long time in hairdressing? Is that how you would describe yourself to people? If someone said at a party, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I would. I mean, there's lots of elements. I think that's what's amazing about hairdressing. There's so many avenues that you can go down, and I've done so much. It's hard to, just put it in a little bit of a snippet. But yeah, I would definitely say that they're sort of the things that my strengths, which is education, is really key. Yeah. Creative directing, and then working within the salon and building the salon team. Yeah. I mean, I do lots of other things. I do lots of mentoring, lots of coaching. So.
And lots of, I know you're involved in lots of things in the hairdressing, but let's start with the experience of being at Vidal Sassoon. So it's such an iconic name, and you were there at a really important time, I'm guessing, sort of when we were moving through the 80s and 90s.
Absolutely, yeah. It was probably the best, I say. People probably say this about their careers, but the best time to be there. The 80s, fashion-wise, hair-wise, was so exciting. I started out in Leeds and retrained there, and I worked with an incredible hairdresser called Stacey Broughton, who was completely bonkers, I mean, with his hair cutting. I mean, he would do anything to anybody. But it was really inspiring, and it was just so creative, so creative. Sassoons, there was nowhere else like Sassoons.
No. It's interesting because I came into hairdressing in the 90s through being a journalist, not being a hairdresser. But I quickly put the Vidal Sassoon way of cutting, way of working with hair has been quite precise and quite structured, and therefore in my head perhaps a bit more rigid, but you're talking about it as being very creative and free.
Hugely creative. I mean, I think that their philosophy then, and I believe it is still now, is really learn the foundations. Right. A bit like an artist that does classic painting, you really learn the foundation and you have to do it by the book. Once you learn that, you can really do whatever you want to do and really break the rules. And they did, and that, and it was extremely exciting. Leeds was a brilliant city.
Yeah.
I then went to Manchester, and they were sort of my clubbing years, which Hacienda, which was an amazing club. And you had, you know, bands coming in all the time and just loads of collaborations with things.
I think it's interesting, isn't it? For me, the Sassoon name or label, perhaps, if you will, is often related to what's happening in pop culture at the time. And there's always, on the side of doing shows and working with teams from Sassoon, there's always a great reference to what was happening in certain eras, and it's very well researched. There's always a really good story, if you like, underlining everything you do. But then equally, whether it was the sort of right back to the Mia Farrow and Vidal himself working with people who were very much in the limelight, famous people, it feels like Sassoon's always been related to what's happening, what's going on.
Always looking at youth, always looking at what is going to happen. And I think the other part of it that's really important is the research.
Yeah.
And I think in the industry, you know, I'm really lucky. I get to judge competitions and work with young people. And I think that's what's missing.
Yeah.
You know, and I do
100%.
often say to them, like, if you're going to do session work, for instance, a lot of people want to, you're going to be in a room with people that have studied fashion. They know every element of it. Do your research. And Sassoon's gave me that and taught me that. You know, really a different way, I guess. We were known as the intelligent hairdressers. Yeah. You know.
No, I totally agree. I think, you know, this often pop culture isn't just pop art isn't just Andy Warhol. You know, it's that sort of thing. And I think whenever I've been involved with teams or young people or judging things, and you talk to people about where they get their inspiration, there's a world of difference between somebody who's had a Sassoon training who will reference the names and the eras and the detail, and somebody else saying, oh, from the street or from, you know, I go to museums. Do you know what I mean? It is that sort of discipline and that hunger for knowing where it's come from and what the history is behind things.
And that's exciting as well, because it's you then take it somewhere else, and it's not throwaway. You know, fashion is throwaway now, but it never ever was. And you develop something, and then you develop it further and further and further, and really get it to an incredible level.
Fashion reflects what was happening, you know, socially, economically, you know, throughout history. Fashion reflects what's going on for people and what the culture of the times is.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Interesting. So moving through, did you go straight from Sassoon to owning a salon?
No, so I worked in Sassoon's Leeds, Manchester, Glasgow, London, and then creative director of the London Schools and Academies. And then I had 2 children. Yeah. And I was still travelling like all over the world, and just realised with my second son, I didn't want to do that anymore. Sassoon's really didn't want me to go. I didn't want to go. I loved it. Yeah. But I didn't want to see everybody else going off and doing their thing and me having to stay at home. So I decided it was time to do my own thing. And I really saw that people wanted in-salon education. Yeah. They wanted courses that were designed for them. Yeah. Everybody's doing that now. Then they weren't. So that's what I did. And I left Sassoon's, created a website, and went to events. And I used to go to events and find people's names that I wanted to work with and just go to their table and just introduce myself and get jobs that way. That's how I did it, because the social media wasn't a big thing.
It wasn't so sophisticated.
And I remember Richard Ward were one of the first people to give me a job. It was so scary because they wanted me to do a demo to the whole of the team, and they know their stuff. Yeah. But it was brilliant. It was like a really good break, and it gave me loads of confidence. And that's what I did. And so I did that for quite a few years, travelled, but I could do it when I wanted to, which worked around home. And then Billy was still at Sassoon's, and it was his dream to have a salon. It wasn't mine. Yeah. And he said, right now, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And so he opened the salon in 2007. Yeah. And initially, I wasn't really involved. I did lots of stuff behind the scenes, but I wasn't there day to day. It was his thing.
So tell us about the shape and the profile of the salon as it is now. So you employ people? You've got quite a big premises with a street level and then an extensive basement with a garden.
It's a big beast now. Yeah. Much bigger than I think we ever envisaged, but it's exciting. So I think when Billy took it over, because it was a salon, he had about 5 team members. We've now got 25 team members, and it's a hybrid model. We do have some people that are independent, but the people that are independent with us are not generally international artists. So they're very well known internationally in the industry. So if they're not in the salon, they're educating or they're doing sessions, etc. That's what they do. And it's amazing because then they come in with all this energy and share it with the rest of the team. So it's great. We love it. We train. We have a lot of apprentices, and I know the industry's changing. And there's talk about being less, and it is hard. It's very tough. But we've always believed in educating and growing young people and getting them to be stylists. And there's no better feeling when you see them and then you send them off on their first trip or whatever. It's brilliant.
So how do you think it has changed significantly for younger people coming into the industry now than, say, in the 90s and the 80s? We talk often about what it's like for hairdressers and salons having people come into the industry. What do you think you see in the younger people coming through that is perhaps more challenging or less easy than it might have been? I mean, most hairdressers, when I say, how did you come into hairdressing? It's, by accident, or I fell into it, or I wasn't really sure I wanted to do it, or maybe they did, but their family wasn't that keen, but they still made it happen. Now, for somebody to come into the industry, there are more challenges, I think, in some ways, with perhaps the choice, or perhaps it's more expensive to employ people, it's more expensive to have apprentices, so perhaps we demand more of them. I don't know, what do you feel? I think
that gets in the way of, salons being able to take apprentices is the affordability. We certainly get inundated with many people that want to join us, which is great. I think what's harder about it, from our point of view, is that they want to do it so quickly.
Right.
So the training is shorter. And they want to be on the salon very quickly.
So expectations have changed.
Greatly.
Where do you think that comes from? Do you think that comes from their school education?
I think everything. I think society's so quick, isn't it? If you decide you want a jacket today, you can go online and order it. It can be here at midnight. Everything is quick.
And I think there's a lot of expectation from kids who have been encouraged all the way through their education to believe that they're going to be an entrepreneur or they're going to have their own business, which is perhaps something I don't remember ever thinking that was an ambition to have my own company. Whereas they all seem to. That's one of the things that they often talk about. They
want to be at the top of the mountain.
Want to be their own boss.
But they don't know everything that goes with it. It's very tricky. It's changing. It's going to change. I find it hard when there's all this doom and gloom. I do. I really find it depressing when I go to events and other salon owners are talking about it. And I could really easily go there, but I don't want to. I want to stay positive, and that's a strength I really believe that I've got. And I want to keep that. We've just got to find a way of making it work.
It's being solutions driven. I totally agree. I think absolutely yes, things are very challenging. It's not just hairdressing. I think sometimes I hear voices which talk as if hairdressing is being persecuted beyond other industry sectors. I think everybody has their challenges. But I think it's about trying to find the solution and then trying to get the help to bring about that solution and not getting too stuck in the whole, this is awful. It's all gone to hell in a handcart. It's a bit more about, okay, this is challenging, but we all still believe. And I think hairdressing is made up of people who are intrinsically positive people. So we need to kind of get that back.
Absolutely.
So it is. So education broadly has become something that you're obviously, is not just a theme, it's a passion, it's something that you really enjoy. And I think you've taken your education outside of the salon setup and apprentices and going to see the UK salons. You've travelled, you worked in India for the Shaping Futures.
Yes, so I've travelled internationally teaching hairdressers how to do hair and also teacher training many times. But this Schwarzkopf Henkel have been involved with an organisation, a non-profitable organisation called Shaping Futures. And that I have wanted to do it for about 5 years. it's a big thing to do because you've got to fund it yourself. You give money to the charity, and obviously you take 2 weeks out of your business to do it.
But so it's going to work with...
So you go to the... So Shaping Futures takes young people that don't have parents.
Right.
And they look after them, you know, in care. They take all the siblings together. So they might have lost their parents, you know, their parents might have died. It might be through addiction. It might be through, you know, other things.
Yeah.
And they take these young people and they put them in a home, and they have what's called an adopted mother who looks after them, and they send them to school, and they just look after them all the way through till they're about 22. At the end of their education, they invite different companies to come in, and Shaping Futures with Schwarzkopf is one of them. And we basically train them. The idea is to give them a skill to help change their future. Yeah. And so it's a 6-week programme.
Right.
And I did 2 weeks of it. So you volunteer for 2 weeks. It was incredible, really, really incredible to do it. The thing that's amazing about it, there's so many elements, but there was about, I think there was 20, 21, 22 students. They all got it. They all could cut a bob at the end of 2 weeks. You know, and it's like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But they have to. This is their chance to literally change their lives.
Right.
They've got the opportunity to get a job at the end of it.
Right.
And some of them, many of them, have younger brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
They're going to be the paycheck to look after them.
Right. So
the
they
can't fail.
Is there. Yeah.
The motivation is there.
Wow.
They just keep going. At the end of, you know, day one, they're crying because they've been stood up all day because they've just come out of school.
Yeah.
You know, they're in tears, but they come the next day, it was just incredible. That is one of the things that I think it teaches you is the strength of knowing with them they've got no other choice.
Yeah. So they might do a 6 weeks purely on hairdressing.
So they do 6 weeks purely on hairdressing. So they do, I think the first 2 weeks is colour. The second 2 weeks was cutting and styling, which I was part of. And then the final 2 weeks are bringing it all together, and then they put on a final show. And then what happens is that Schwarzkopf invites salon owners to come and interview them. So we're teaching them how to get a job as well. Wow. And I think about 18 of them have been employed, and I think the other 4 want to carry on studying. And many of them are going to Dubai. Right. They've got the opportunity to work in Dubai. Right. So it's a big thing. And so it was incredible. Emotionally, it was much harder than I realised it was going to be.
In what way? Because you were absorbing their situation and sort of coping with that as well. I
think that I focused on the going and the doing and teaching hair, which is what I'm used to.
Yeah.
But I didn't think about their stories.
Yeah.
And on the first day, you have a briefing and they tell you some of what you might come up against and how to behave with these young people. Some of them won't give you eye contact. Yeah. You've really got to be aware about body distance because they've been through so much trauma. And then it hit me, and I just said to the group of women that I was teaching with, I'm not going to ask them about their stories. Yeah. Please don't think, but I know that I'm going to cry and I'll break, and it's not about me. Yeah. It's about them. I'm just going to build them up every day. And they were like, we're all going to do the same. Yeah. And that's what we did. And you did get to know some of their stories because they started to trust you, and then they would come and then they would tell you. And it was a lot. Yeah. A really lot.
I can imagine, but really worthwhile, something.
Incredible. You know, I'm still friends with many of them on social media and watching their journeys now, what they're going on to. Yeah. Yeah, you really feel, you've made a huge difference in their lives.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because for a lot of us, obviously not everybody, but broadly speaking, I think there are certain periods of your life where you have aspirations and you want to do something, and you want to do something for yourself because that's how you're living your life. And then I think you sort of move into another age where it's just as interesting to actually be enabling other people to do things. It's really rewarding. It's like having children or growing something or being a farmer and nurturing the crops and things. You start off sort of at one point in your life, and then you sort of, as you age, it is more about other people, isn't it?
It absolutely. It really, really is. And I did this thing, which I use a lot, which is called 1% Club, which is about 1% growth. And I think it's, you know, for young hairdressers to think about it. If you just grow by 1% each day, at the end of a year, that's 365% growth. And we did that every day. So every day they'd come in and we would say, right, okay, write at what the 1% growth you're going to have today and then reflect on it. Yeah. And at the end of the week, they had a cake with like 1% Club on. It was really cute.
Oh, that's lovely. What a nice idea. So bringing that back to sort of your everyday world back here in the UK hairdressing, when you are considering somebody for an apprenticeship, or when you're considering somebody to be a student, or when somebody says, oh, you know, thinking of being a hairdresser, what sort of qualities or pointers do you find yourself looking for, or suggesting that somebody, or think about this? So do you really have that skill, or are you really dedicated to this? What sort of things over your years?
We, you know, employ on attitude. Right. So personality is really important.
So within that, what would you be looking for in a personality?
Somebody that says, you know, I really want to be, how do I, with a 16-year-old, it's a difficult one. Just that they seem as though they want to work in a salon. Why do you want to work in a salon would be my question. Why do you want to do hair?
Right.
And then, you know, I do hair at home, or I like doing my mum's hair, or just little things like they've got an interest.
Yeah.
We really tell them about how hard work it is. Because again, you know, they might see on our Instagram that we've done a show or we've done a photo shoot, and that's what they're thinking it is. We tell them, you know, it's cleaning, it's cleaning the bathrooms, it's making coffee, all of that. We're very honest with them. And then we get them to come and do a trial day. We always do that. And then we get them to do a trial week and sometimes another trial week. That's the way that we work at Billy Curry. And then they can see what it's really like inside. Yeah. And how they fit in with the team. We always will ask the team. So we take key people, and because they're going to behave differently if they're with me or with Billy. Mm-hmm. So it will be, we'll say to key people, right, well, how was she in the staff room? How were they? Yeah. And that's what we do. And then they get the job, hopefully. Yeah.
And how do you organise your training? Do you have like a day? Are they attached to somebody in particular? How does it work
so
for you?
The training is done with an independent private college. Yeah. And we work like that because you can lose so many. We used to always book somebody out to teach, but then you've lost them. Right. So now they do their MVQ qualification with an independent college for 2 years. Yeah. Within that 2 years, they also can come in and train every week with us. Yeah. Then come in after college. We do mentoring during the day, so we'll pair them up. Right. Try and get them blow drying very quickly, holding sections, doing stuff as quickly as possible. Some of them, even now, like we've got one girl she's done a year with us. If somebody comes in and they want a 1-length trim, Billy will be next to them, but we'll do things like that. We try and get them to do hair very quickly. Yeah. Then if they qualify and we've kept them, you know, and they've come up to our level, they then do the Billy Curry programme. Right. So they have to do another year with us. So it's a longer training program. Right. You know, we debate about it because we're like, really, you know, why is it taking so long, affordability wise again. But to get to the level, we're a high-end salon. Yeah. It's not just about doing hair. It's being able to deal with people, you know, that maybe travel business class. Yeah. You know, they've got to be able to have the conversations.
Have the soft skills
it's
as well.
so much more. Yeah. Than just hair.
And do you notice that? I mean, I'm working with younger people, I know, in lots of ways, whether you're with the Fellowship for British Hairdressing, which I know you're allied with, and in the salon, or out educating in salons, or travelling. We'll talk about, you know, Gen Z being this and young people being that, and nobody can... Do you see that in young people? Do you see a difference? People are a bit more lacking in confidence? Or
100%.
Yeah, you do.
100%. And it's difficult. It's really difficult. I mean, we could have a counsellor in our salon for all of the team, not just the young ones, to be honest with you. Yeah. But definitely there is much more anxiety. They're much more aware of how they feel. Yeah. And everything is quite dramatic. You know, we can have people that have a breakdown because maybe their nails weren't done wrong. You know, everything's huge. Yeah. I don't know where or why. I think, you know, COVID, everybody started talking about their feelings. It's hard, and it's hard to navigate, because I'm from a time when you didn't talk about your feelings.
Yeah. And do you find clients are doing that more as well, perhaps? You know, equally, there's more to absorb from clients, because perhaps we're all talking more and having more dramatic things happening to us.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's like
and definitely, yeah, it is a circular thing. And you have to be really careful, I think, with that energy.
Yeah.
We have a team meeting every morning, just like a restaurant would, and we go through every guest that's in during that day, and stylists will share not the client's story, but it might be this client's going through a difficult period. Can you give them some space?
Right.
And we're just much more aware of how people are feeling.
Yeah. Wow. And how do you... I'm making myself smile as I ask this, because we have children perhaps similar ages, I guess, or thereabouts. How do you stay relatable to young people? Do you make an attempt, or do you make an extra emphasis on keeping on social media? Do you take it upon yourself to learn how to, you know, play video games? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
I do know what you mean. I mean, I think that I'm always going to seem older. I'm always going to seem like their mum.
Yeah.
But I think that I am relatable. I've got a 20-year-old that's a musician that raps, and I love rap music. I'm a big fan of people like Lola Young, and so I guess that's it. But I don't purposely try and, you know, I think...
I did secretly watch Love Island for a few years just so that I knew what they were all talking about.
But I think if you're honest and you own it, you can always relate it to something from our, you know, era.
Yeah, I think it's just keep talking with people. So do you so you live with Billy, you walk to work, or you're close by work, you come to a lot of things. I've seen you both at social things, either where you're presenting and working or being visitors. How do you set boundaries? You referenced it when you left Sassoon and you wanted to get your time with your children. But nowadays, do you have to set boundaries, like we're not going to talk about work at the breakfast table, or we've got to have Sundays off, or is it...
That is really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really good at it. I'm very good at... Now I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. And I've got better as I've got older. Billy has everything, ADHD, everything. So if a thought comes into his head, he wants it action straight away. So it can be quite hard controlling him. Yeah. And I think that we could very easily talk about work all the time. Yeah. But we just say, you've got to say no. It's like, I think it's like when if he's had a day in the salon, is there anything you need to share? And then, okay, we're going to leave it there now. Yeah. But sometimes it can be midnight and I'm just going to bed and Billy will say, this happened. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
it's closed. Late.
You missed too late.
Yeah. Surgery's closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Bless. So that was lovely. Thank you for sharing so much with us. Let's leave this on a more, on a very definitely upbeat note. What brings you joy still in hairdressing? What drives you still? Obviously projects like the Shaping Futures, but generally, where does the joy come from for you?
I love live events, really, really love live events. I mentor and teach a lot of young people how to get up on stage. That's a big passion, you know. So when you see somebody that's come to you and said, can't get up on stage, I'm too nervous, and you train them, and then I go to an event and they're on stage, that is a great, great feeling. So I'm still passionate about everything I do. Education is key. I just love it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been lovely to find out a little bit more about Debbie G's world of hairdressing.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for listening today. And if you like what you heard, please do look at our library of podcasts on respectyou.me, Apple, Spotify, Acast, or wherever you are watching this podcast. Until next time, goodbye.